Shalom, first and foremost, all praises, glory, honor goes to Yahweh. Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makakodash, double honors to the elder apostles, a great millstone. Taught us his truth, salutation, all Yakim pushing this word day in and day out, man. Hey, brothers, be careful, mowing your lawn, man, because you got all types of bees, yellow jackets, pests in general, man. Dwelling, you know, nearby, especially you living in the suburbs, the rural country areas. You gotta be careful, man. So, quick testimony. I remember when I first joined the camp I'm in about 10 years ago. I was living in a different house that I'm living in now, right? Because average American or Babylonian citizen, right? Because that's basically what we are, Babylonian citizens. Move every 5 years, right? So, the house I was in at the time, I had to cut my own grass and shit. Looking back, I should have hired somebody to do it for cheap, $20, $30 or whatever. And I remember there's like this vent at the back of the house, right? It was a vent. I don't know, it was like electric box or some shit like that. Or it could be a regular air vent, airflow vent, something like that to that effect. I remember as soon as I cut the mower on, a bee came out like 100 miles an hour. Like it was like I have a good reaction speed, but with this bee, I couldn't even react. Like he came out that fast. My hands is on the mower. He came out, boom, stung me in my cheek. It was a little bit swollen for a few hours, then it went down. But he came out so fast, bro. It's like 100 miles, like a fucking mighty man just punched me. That's what it felt like. I got punched in the face, I think he didn't hit my eye or, any sensitive parts, right? Because that could definitely blind somebody. Getting hit in the eye by a bee, getting stung in the eye by a bee, wow. So the Lord, even then, the Lord had mercy, and I repented from whatever wickedness I was doing at the time, to get stung like that. But that motherfucker came out, man, 100 miles an hour. Boom! Felt like I got hit by Mike Tyson. I mean, I didn't fall. I just caught myself oh shit. Nigga just stung this shit out of me. In the face, in the cheek. I think it was my right cheek to be exact, right? So I'm gonna play this clip, man. So just be careful when you're out there mowing your lawn, because you never know if there's a beehive, or a wasp hive located, on your property somewhere, man. So, like where I live now, I ain't gotta cut the grass. Call all y'all bushing me, so I don't gotta cut the grass where I live now. But, if I did have to cut the grass again, I'll, because they hear that noise, that's, there's no slow build up when you cut your mower on. It's just loud. So the bees, these pests, they think somebody's invading because that noise is so loud, right? But like I said, now, if I had a yard or whatever, I'll just hire somebody to do it. Right, let them deal with that shit.
Lawn, and then all of a sudden, not knowing if he'll live or die. That's exactly what happened to a man in Washington County near Brenham. We spoke to John, only on 11 tonight, who's thankful he's alive to tell his story.
At this particular day, I decided to go just a little bit further. And I tell you what, I only went about a foot further. And as soon as I did, bam, I got attacked. I mean, they come out of nowhere. There were thousands of them. And they just started attacking me.
Yeah, pretty scary stuff there. Eventually, John was able to get off his mower, but says the bees were relentless, even getting in his mouth and ears. He tried rolling on the ground to get the bees off him, and to make matters worse, he left his phone in his truck, so he had no way of calling 911. John was not sure if he would survive. He managed to make it to several houses, but no one was home. Finally, he ran into one of his workers and finally got picked up by an ambulance.
They're very aggressive. This is the first case we've had of them in quite a few years. They don't like, they especially don't like weed eaters, chainsaws, lawnmowers. For some reason, the vibrations of that really excite them and make them very aggressive.
Another reason John is thankful that he survived the bee encounter is that he suffers from a heart condition. Glad to see he's doing.
So I believe that guy's a Jake. You know, he's not this Edomite, but
Act.
yeah, this guy right here, I believe he's a Jake. He got like a lively spirit on him. You know, let's show you this Jacob. Difference between Jacob and Esau, right? He looked like a so-called white man, but I believe he's a Jake through the spirit. But getting back on topic, yeah, man, that vibration, that noise, that loud start. You know, the bees think that these pests, they think they're under attack, man. And I was blessed in my situation, man, that there was only one bee that came out. Boom, hit me. Hit me with an uppercut. I had to eat that shit, man. Face swollen and shit for like a few hours or maybe a day at the most. Because I think it happened on the camp day too. And I remember telling brothers about it. Yeah, man, I fucking, was trying to cut my grass and a bee came out of nowhere, out of my crib. It popped me in the face. But that beehive that was inside that vent, I remember that same day I got a whole bunch of spray. I don't know what kind of spray I had at the time. Whether it was Lysol or actual insect spray. I can't remember. I remember I sprayed the shit out of that fucking sprayed every angle of that shit. So whatever beehive was in there wasn't in there no more because it just got destroyed, man. And then I never had a problem with it again because I remember I still, I was younger at the time. I was, 10 years younger. So I just, continued to cut the grass till I finally moved out of there a few years later. But, yeah, I got hit, man. And so you got to be careful, man. You got to, fucking inspect your property. Make sure there's no beehives anywhere. Because they're going to protect the mama bee or the mama wasp. They're going to protect their ass. So just inspect your property, If you got a lot of flowers, make sure you trim some of them so bees won't just keep coming back. But, I haven't had an issue since, man. And he was a regular bee. Imagine that was a fucking bumblebee or some shit. That would have probably knocked me on my ass. But, thankfully, call all your how about Shem Yahshua, I ain't have to deal with that, man. So you gotta wear goddamn bee suits and shit when you cut your grass. People gonna look at you like you crazy, but at least you be protected, man. That hot ass bee suit on, man. This is Jeremiah 15:3, and I'll point over there. 4 kinds save the Lord. Yeah, because I remember back in the 90s, late 90s, 99, 2000, they were saying, yeah, in the 2000s, you're going to have swarms of bees come from Africa. Killer bees. I remember they were saying that. Killer bees from Africa. They about to come here. But, hey, the Lord, he's going to have, the plague of flies and bees, just like ancient Egypt, man. Locusts. It's about to get crazy out here. But scripture says no plague. Pursuant to Psalms 91. No plague's going to reach our dwelling. But these people are going to have to deal with it, man. Your dog ain't going to be able to protect you. Your gun ain't going to be able to protect you. They won't get in your houses. Because houses are breathing. I remember a exterminator told me this, over the wintertime. The house is, literally a breathing. Your house is pretty much alive, man. Because there's a lot of scriptures about your house, because house means your body. But even that the house, your dwelling place is a breathing instrument. It got all types of ventilation and shit like that, right? So the bees can get in there. How many times you go in the bathroom, you see a fly just end up in there, showing you what your house is a breathing element, man. And it says, and I'll point over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord, the sword to slay. That's self-explanatory. And the dogs to tear. Yeah, you're going to have wolves, actual dogs out here going crazy, pit bulls, And the fowls of heaven, you're going to have to deal with the birds, the crows. Even Alfred Hitchcock, if I'm saying it correctly, made a movie called The Crow back in the early 90s. Where the crows was just attacking Edomites, man. Mainly Edomites. Black woman, too. Evil black woman. That damn nest you have on your head that you call a weave, that you call micro braids. Guess what? These birds are going to land on it, man. And the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. Yeah, bears. We're going to have fucking new creatures, newly created, out here attacking, evildoers. Because, we technically, we can't, we're all sinners, right? But, we're saved through what? Grace, man. And at least trying, man, Like they say it don't hurt to try. Well, we're trying out here. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability. We ain't out here willingly pursuing a married woman, committing adultery, selling drugs, using drugs. We ain't out here doing that shit. But there's certain things you can't avoid, right? You're dealing with a woman. Guess what? You're going to run into a woman. She going to lie to you. She going to say she's single and she not. Then when you find out she not single, then just cut her ass off. Cut her. Delete her number. Right? Block her number. That's a part of being in hell, man. All right? And it says the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy, man. So I guess you can include pests in those beasts, man. Even though beasts talking about the larger creatures, but, you can include pests in this precept too, because they're going to be getting busy too, man. So I remember getting stung by a bee as a child. I think prior to 10 years ago, last time I got hit, I was a child, man. Maybe like elementary, middle school at the most. I remember getting stung a couple times, man. And I remember it being worse as a child than an adult. Because, when you're a child, you're not used to pain. But, once you reach a certain age of adulthood, you embrace pain. So it was like I said, it felt like a punch, like a good punch. But these people, and now it's just one bee. These people talking about 40, 100 bees. You know how many people in the spirit realm over bees attacking them? Especially Edomites. They're getting hit 100 times. Pow, 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 pow. They're like, oh, shit. And when we get that full power, we going to be able to summon the bees, on these evildoers out here, right? Because, and the bees are going to have their full size. Even the bees are like smaller in stature, right? You're going to see a bee the size of a bird, man. Out here stinging these Edomites, grabbing them up, fucking them up. And these 2/3 niggas, man. And spicks. All right. To devour and destroy. Hey, they're going to destroy these niggas out here, man. Because these the same niggas that refuse to repent, man. So, hey, you made your bed, you about to lay in it, man. You all right? Let me get Psalm 91, man. It says, I'm gonna just go straight to the point. And 8, only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. There's another precept that goes into blessed be the man that see the downfall of his enemy. Let me see if I can pull that up, man. Because that's the times we living in now. Especially leave hardcore slavery when Jake was in the field, bees coming to attack him and shit. Esau ain't care unless you're a top producing slave. You try to, CPR, resurrect your ass. But you laughing and shit, man. You know. So it's a lot of precept on enemies, man. Let me check the Apocrypha. And that's a good precept, Esther 14:6. And now we have sinned before thee. Therefore, hast thou given us into the hand of our enemies, man. Which is a shortage of bees compared to how it used to be in earlier days, decades ago, man. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, Sirach 25:7. There be 9 things which I have judged in my heart, to be happy in the 10th. I will utter with my tongue a man that have joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. And that's the times we living in. Where we seen the fall of so-called white man and his cohorts, man. And his cold coons, man. You know? So all you people, you think you safe because you moved to the country / suburbs. Lord got judgments out there waiting, man. These people can't run. Imagine swarming bees attacking them. Pow, pow, pow. They can't run. And plus some bees are fast, man. They're light. That's a feather. I remember, like, if you ever killed a bee with your hand, like, they'll fucking prick your hand and shit, You try to grab them or some shit, like, come here. They'll prick your hand, man. Those are dangerous creatures that the Lord created, man. But now, like, the bees will come right up on me and then they'll just fly away, They're like, oh, shit. This power is too much. Even in our base form, man. They just fly away. It said Psalms 91 and 8, and only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. So that's a precept to Sirach 25:7. Seeing the downfall of our enemies. So it's seeing the reward of the wicked, which is what? Judgment, captivity, thermonuclear destruction, Jacob's trouble. Because I was made Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which is my refuge, even the Most High. Thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee and to keep thee in all thy ways. Yes, so the angels, they're going to protect us, the Lord. Even right now, the Lord has angels, whole duty is to watch over brothers. Let's say there was an angel that lived right. I mean, I ain't gonna say he lived there, but his post, right, was right up the main street from where I used to live. The same neighborhood I got stung at. His post is right there. I remember when I first joined the camp, maybe a couple years after he made it known that was his post, and then he went somewhere else for a few years. Right, it's like he disappeared and went somewhere else for a few years. Right, and now he's back at the same spot where he started, and when he started over there where I used to live. That was when I first joined the camp. So now he's back over there. So it's got to be the end. Because I remember having a dream, having spiritual power right over there. Okay. So